Welcome in, everyone. I want you to imagine this scenario for just a second.
Okay, lay it on us.
So you're walking through a brightly lit, super modern shopping mall. You've got like shopping bags in one hand, maybe a coffee in the other.
Right, pretty standard Saturday.
Exactly. And you take an escalator down to the basement level expecting to find, a food court or maybe a parking garage.
Sure.
But instead, you step into this dimly lit, carefully preserved excavation site. It's a 3rd century temple dedicated to an ancient Egyptian deity.
Wow.
Yeah. You're staring at a 2,000-year-old sacrificial altar literally right beneath the sneaker stores.
That juxtaposition is, it's almost jarring when you first experience it.
Totally jarring.
But that specific clash, right? That hyper-modern life happening directly on top of the ancient world, that is basically the fundamental DNA of the place we're unpacking in our deep dive today.
Which is the city of Mainz, Germany. And we've got a massive stack of sources for this one, right?
We do. We're pulling from local tourism guides, archaeological museum archives, even theater season announcements for 2025 and 2026.
And some local nightlife directories, too.
Oh, definitely. We need all of it to really understand Mainz.
Right. Because for you listening, whether you're outlining a European itinerary, or maybe you're just studying how cities bounce back from historical devastation.
Which Mainz definitely has.
Yeah, big time. Or, maybe you're just curious about a culture that treats the Tuesday evening glass of wine with the same reverence as a medieval cathedral.
I love that comparison.
Thanks. But really, this deep dive is meant to be your insider's guide. And just to be super clear on our parameters today before we jump in, we are focusing entirely on culture, history, and discovery.
Exactly.
So the noise of modern politics, whatever's happening right now, is staying completely out of this conversation. We are purely here to understand a city through its wine, its ruins, its art, and its celebrations.
I think that's the best way to do it. And, to really grasp how a city like Mainz operates, you kind of have to start with its pulse.
Right, the baseline.
Yeah. Before we dig into the heavy historical trauma or the ancient Roman fleets, we need to look at the ground all of that history sits on. Mainz holds a pretty unique distinction.
Oh, the wine network thing.
Yeah. Since 2008, it has been Germany's only member of the International Great Wine Capitals Network.
Wait, really? The only one in Germany?
The only one?
That's wild, because reading through these tourism sources, the wine culture there doesn't look like an industry so much as it feels like an open-air living room.
That's a really good way to describe it.
I mean, you picture standing on the banks of the Rhine River, you've got a glass of local Riesling in your left hand, and the water is just flowing past on your right.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Right. It feels like the absolute definition of savoir-vivre.
Oh, that French concept of the joy of living.
Exactly. But it's seamlessly integrated into this German landscape.
Well, and that joy of living is deeply tied to the region's geography.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mainz is surrounded by 3 major wine-growing regions.
Which means are those?
You've got Rheinhessen, the Rheingau, and the Nahe Valley. So you have around 60 regional winemakers whose influence just kind of trickles directly into the city center.
Wow, 60. That's huge.
Right. And this isn't just about having a beverage. Historically and economically, wine is the anchor that has allowed this city to thrive.
It gathers people together.
Exactly. It dictates the entire social calendar.
And you can actually see that physically mapped out for travelers, too. There is this thing called the Rhine Terrassenweg.
Oh, the hiking trail.
Yeah, it's a 60-kilometer trail. It weaves through all these ancient vineyards and connects these super picturesque wine villages.
That sounds incredible.
Doesn't it? You can spend your day walking the exact same hills that have grown grapes for centuries and then just end up at a local tavern.
And, if you decide to just stay in the city, the ecosystem comes right to you.
Oh, like the festivals.
Yeah, in early summer, the banks of the river completely transformed for the Mainz Wine Promenade, the Weinjufer 2026.
Oh, right. The sources say that stretches between the Theodor-Heuss-Brook and the Kaiser-Tor, right?
Yep, that's the spot. And the Weinjufer essentially turns the riverside into this massive outdoor festival of connoisseurship.
So it's not just a frat party?
No, not at all. You have live music, culinary showcases, and all these regional vintages out under the open sky.
Sounds amazing.
It is. But even on just a normal, random week, the gathering continues. They have a weekly market that operates every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, right around the cathedral.
Wow, 3 days a week.
Yeah. And then, as the harvest approaches, so late August and early September, the massive wine market completely takes over the city park.
So the conviviality is just baked into the calendar.
Literally built into how the city functions.
But, you hinted earlier at what sits beneath the ground where all these festivals are happening.
Right, the layers.
Yeah, the people drinking wine by the river are literally standing on top of millennia of human drama.
So let's loop back to that shopping mall scenario you opened with.
The Römer Passage.
Right. Back in the year 2000, developers were excavating the ground to build the Römer Passage shopping center right in the middle of Mainz.
Standard construction stuff.
Exactly. But during the dig, they hit something substantial. It turned out to be the Isis and Mater Magna Sanctuary.
That's the temple from the 3rd century.
Yep.
I have to pause on this, though, because, from a modern urban planning perspective, this sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Oh, total logistical headache.
Right. I'm looking at this logistically. You have millions of euros tied up in a commercial development. You've got strict construction schedules, heavy machinery everywhere.
Yeah.
And suddenly someone brushes off a stone and realizes, oh, wait, this is an ancient Egyptian and Oriental deity sanctuary.
Set up everything.
Literally. How does a city even function when digging a basement can halt a commercial project for a massive archaeological excavation?
Well, it requires a completely different philosophy, urban development. Right?
I mean,
in a city as old as Mainz, history isn't viewed as an obstacle to be bulldozed. It's treated as a foundational asset.
that's a great way to put it.
So the local government, the archaeologists, and the commercial developers basically had to negotiate a compromise. And the result is the Taberna Archaeologica.
Okay, and taberna is Latin for like a shop or a stall, right?
Exactly. They literally integrated the preserved ruins into the commercial space.
That's so cool.
It's wild. You can be shopping in the modern mall and then just step into this subterranean exhibition space to see the altars and curse tablets exactly where they were found.
It's a literal cross-section of time.
Yeah, it really is.
And the Roman influence extends outward from there, too. The sources detail the Museum of Ancient Seafaring, which sits just down the road.
Oh, that's a fascinating spot.
It houses the remains of ancient Roman fleet ships, right? Along with the gravestones and actual letters of the sailors who navigated those waters.
Yeah. But what makes that particular museum critical to understanding Mainz is how it operates.
How so?
Well, it's not just a quiet room of dusty artifacts behind glass. They've built specific viewing windows into the architecture of the museum where visitors can stand and watch active restoration workshops.
Wait, like people actively working on this stuff?
Yeah. You are observing modern experts meticulously piece together the remnants of the Roman Empire in real time.
That really demystifies the whole historical process, doesn't it?
It really does. It makes it feel alive.
Well, speaking of making history feel alive, that concept of active history brings us to perhaps the most globally significant event to ever happen in this city.
I know where you're going with this.
We are talking about Johannes Gutenberg,
Legend.
a citizen of Mainz who, about 550 years ago, basically sparked the entire information age.
Truly. The invention of movable metal type and the printing press completely altered the trajectory of human civilization.
It's hard to overstate it.
It really is. And the mechanics of that invention are just brilliant. I mean, before Gutenberg, if you wanted to print a page, you had to carve the entire page into a single static block of wood.
Oh my gosh, that sounds exhausting.
Incredibly labor-intensive and totally inflexible. You make one typo, the block is ruined.
Right.
So Gutenberg's genius was casting individual letters out of durable metal alloys.
Okay.
You could arrange those metal letters to form a page of text, print as many copies as you needed, and then disassemble the letters to be rearranged and used for a completely different book tomorrow.
It's so elegant. It turned information from a luxury item for the ultra-rich into a mass-produced commodity.
Exactly. It democratized knowledge.
And our sources mention the Gutenberg Museum is actually currently operating out of an interim space, right?
Yeah, it's an exhibition called Gutenberg Museum Move Date.
Right, at the Natural History Museum on Reichsklarstrasse.
Because their primary building is undergoing a major redesign right now.
But they haven't hidden away the crown jewels, have they?
Oh, not at all. The interim exhibition houses 2 copies of the world-famous 42-line Gutenberg Bible.
2 of them. Wow.
Yeah, and they're secured in this walk-in treasure chamber, allowing you to actually compare them side by side.
That's incredible. And, for anyone wondering about the 42-line distinction, our notes explain why that matters. It isn't just a random name.
No, it's highly specific.
Gutenberg printed exactly 42 lines of text on each page. And to do that required a masterful understanding of spacing, layout, and typography.
He was a perfectionist.
He really was. He wasn't just trying to print a book quickly. He was trying to prove that this new mechanical technology could produce something just as beautiful and uniform as the most expensive hand-copied manuscripts.
And he succeeded. I mean, standing in that vault looking at those specific pages, you were looking at the catalyst for the modern world.
Gives you chills.
It does. The democratization of ideas, of science, of literature, it all started with the mechanism sitting in that room.
And to keep that history active, the museum actually continues to run printing workshops, right?
They do. They demonstrate the physical labor of typesetting and pressing paper just as it was done 5 centuries ago.
Okay, so Mainz gave us the mass communication of ideas. That's a huge high point. But the city's story is not like a simple upward trajectory of progress.
No, unfortunately not.
Let's pivot to how a city communicates its own history, when that history involves profound trauma and devastation.
Right. And to understand that, you really need to look at St. Stephen's Church.
Okay, tell me about it.
So the structure was founded in 990 by Archbishop Willigus.
Which makes it over 1,000 years old.
Yeah, ancient. But its timeline is marked by extreme destruction. In 1857, a nearby powder tower exploded, causing severe damage.
A powder tower? Wow.
Yeah. And then, during World War II, the church, along with much of Mainz, faced near total annihilation from aerial bombing.
Just leveled.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the church we see today is a reconstruction.
Right, but it isn't just a replica of the past, is it? It feels like it's a canvas for processing that trauma.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, roughly 200,000 visitors make the trek up the hill every single year. Specifically, sit inside this church and look at the Marc Chagall windows.
Marc Chagall, he was a globally renowned Jewish artist, right?
He was. And he took on this commission specifically to create a symbol of Jewish-Christian friendship and reconciliation in post-war Germany.
That's a powerful statement.
And the dedication required to complete this vision is staggering. Chagall installed the very first window in 1978 when he was already 91 years old.
91? That's amazing.
And he kept going. He continued working on them, completing his final piece, the 9th window, shortly before he passed away at the age of 98 in 1985.
That is just an incredible legacy to leave behind. And after his death, Charles Marc, an artist who had collaborated with Chagall for like nearly 3 decades, he took up the mantle, right?
Yeah, Marc created 19 subsequent windows to finish out the architectural vision.
But I want to explore the sensory experience of this space for the listener because the aesthetic design of St. Stephen's is highly specific.
It's very intentional.
Yeah, the walls are painted stark white. The structural load-bearing columns are made of red sandstone.
Right.
But because of Chagall's glass, the light that actually illuminates the sanctuary is overwhelmingly, vibrantly blue.
It's stunning.
So what is the psychological function of that specific color in a space defined by such heavy historical trauma?
Well, art historians often refer to it as Kendall's mysticism of blue light.
Mysticism of blue light. I like that.
It's very poetic. When you flood a stark white space with deep, luminous blue, it drastically alters human perception.